Hey guys, what's up? I would like to welcome you to another review of 11/22/63. Today I'll be talking about episode 3, Another Voice, Another Room. Okay, now in this episode, picking up from last week, Jake has a bit of a predicament because he is taken captive at the beginning of the episode by a character that we previously met by the name of Bill Tatum. Now, apparently, Bill has some superpower uh, because before confronting Jake outside Frank Dunning's house, he apparently broke into Jake's apartment and stole some newspapers, in which, to his surprise, obviously because he's from the time that Jake is in, was surprised that Jake had papers saying that John F. Kennedy, the senator at that point, was president. So basically, Bill was holding him at gunpoint, asking, wanting some explanation as to how he knew the information that he knew. So basically, what happens is the long and the short of it is that Jake convinces Bill that he's from the future, and they eventually end up driving to this little town called Dayton in an effort to bug the first apartment that Lee Harvey Oswald stays in with his young wife after he comes back from defecting. I really, really like this episode. It was directed by a British director by the name of James Strong. I looked up his IMDb credits, and I was surprised to find out that he was a director of Doctor Who. I think he directed one episode or two, so I was uh, so that was a little uh, um, interesting nugget to find out about him. And also, this episode was written by uh, um, Brian Nathan. I looked at his IMDb credits as well, and the only thing of note that I could find on there that I've seen is 30 Days of Night. Um, like I said, I really, really enjoyed this episode. I thought that it was it was a great way to progress the story. What I liked most about it was that Jake, on his quest to try and change the future, is no longer alone. He has someone that he can confide in Bill Tatum, and I thought that that was um, something that he would need eventually because um, I do think that the things that Jake could possibly have to go through while trying to change the course of history could affect him in various ways, and I think that it's very important that Jake have a partner in crime from a story point that having a partner when you're trying to do anything, that could possibly be history changing, is very important. So I liked that decision by the writing team behind the show. Because I don't believe that in the book Jake has a partner. I believe that in the book version he is all by himself. So I if I'm right about that change, it's a change that I support, and it's a change that makes sense to me. One thing that continues to kind of shock me and surprise me is the undercurrent of racism in the show. I'm saying this because I'm not unaware of what time period that the show is set in. It's just to me, it's still shocking to see how racist people were towards people of color. one scene in particular to me that caught my eye is once Jake gets a teaching job in this small town of Dayton, he offers a lady who works at the school's front office a cup of coffee. And when he offers that said woman a cup of coffee, the surrounding people in the room look at him like, "The fuck are you doing? How can you offer her a cup of coffee?" Basically. Um, so that was just really, really, really kind of shocking to me and really disturbing to me. And I can't believe that back then people were like that. I'm not saying that today, we are way beyond that. We're better than people were today, because today we have a different social stigma, if you would allow me to call it that. I think the color stigma of today is the way that we treat gay people or transsexual people or anybody that goes against what we consider to be acceptable. Now, I don't want to get into an argument with you guys about politics, but like I said, I think that's this generation's color. I think that is this generation's biased to for some people, not for me, because I am very, very open, and I have many gay friends and many transsexual friends. So I am a lover of all people, and I am not racist at all. So as a matter of fact, I hate people that condemn other people just because they're different. Yeah, so that's a little insight into my soul. The other thing that I was really, really excited to see about this episode was the introduction of the love interest for Jake. This is Sadie Dunhill, the librarian, the librarian at the school where Jake works at. I thought that the chemistry between the two characters was magnetic from the start. Now, previously we met the character of Sadie Dunhill prior in a very, very, very short scene, I believe in the first episode, when Jake is walking through the area where Kennedy gets shot, and he finds this young lady on a bench reading a book, and he has a short conversation with her, and they have a connection, but at that point, Sadie is married to another gentleman, and whatever chemistry that they could have at that time, it would rather be for the politics of the day and for the way people thought back then, it would be rather inappropriate for Jake to start up anything with this woman who he obviously had a connection with. Anyway, now when they meet up again 2 years later, Sadie has since divorced her husband and is less and less, more or less, not less and less, more or less on the market. So, but I'm interested to see how much more complicated things are going to become when their relationship starts to develop, and Sadie notices that there's something not quite right about Jake, and I can't wait to see how he handles falling in love and trying to change the future. One thing I like about the show is the costume, the set design. I think that the people behind the people behind the show do such a good job representing the time period that the story takes place in. I felt like I was in 1962, and I felt like I was in a high school watching a young adult of that day enjoy a school dance. So, like I said, big props to the people behind the costume department and the set design of the show, because I think it's just great. All in all, I really, really enjoyed this episode, and I can't wait to see what happens next. Well, I just want to mention the actor who plays Lee Harvey Oswald. Um, to this point, we haven't really seen much from him. Seen much from him. As a matter of fact, we haven't seen anything from him uh, um, at all. And I thought that this episode really, really, really set up the possibility that two things could be possible. Lee Harvey Oswald could have just been a patsy, he or or he could have been someone who didn't know that he was getting involved with something, but his political views and his temper towards other things could have made him the perfect dumb, well, not dumb, the perfect fall guy for for a political assassination, and that really rings true during the last scene of this episode. I'm not gonna tell you what happens, but um, uh, in this particular scene, we really see how passionate Lee Harvey Oswald is about politics, and how quickly he can get disturbed and enraged at at a particular situation. So right now I couldn't tell you if if Lee Harvey Oswald was a willing participant in the assassination or he was just a patsy. Right now I have no idea, but I guess I'm going to find out pretty soon here. Anyway, I will give this episode of 11, 22, 63, episode 3, entitled Another Voice, Another Room, a solid B. Alright, guys, well, thank you for watching. I appreciate all the views that I get. One thing that I would like to say is that I haven't, I didn't really keep my word to those of you who have been waiting for these reviews. They've been kind of stagnant of late, and the reason for that is because I've had some personal issues to hammer out in my life, and I haven't been able to find the time to do any videos. So I'm not gonna promise you that these reviews will come out on a set date or anything like I promised before, because my life is just too unpredictable for me to keep to any kind of schedule. So what I will say is that I will do videos for you guys whenever I can, and just to be patient with me, and just understand that YouTube is not my life. I have another life, and sometimes my life outweighs my commitment to this channel, but I'm not going anywhere, and I will continue to review this show. And if you like me, please stick around, subscribe, and if you want to talk to me about this episode or anything to do with 11, 22, 63, follow me on Twitter. That will pop up at the end of this video. But until next time, as always, thank you for watching, And I'll see you when I see you.
So much happened here, and so much is about to.